One of the things that you explore in your book are the damages to our health, physical as well as mental health, from mouth breathing. And I know that I had sleep apnea as a child, and I had my tonsils removed when I was 2, which helped me breathe better and speak better at the time. But I wonder what can we learn from your book about the consequences of mouth breathing, sleep apnea?
Well, mouth breathing is something up to 50% of the population does, kids more than adults, and we view it as something that's normal. And yet you look at nature, you look at animals in the wild, and none of them breathe through their mouths. Dogs will breathe through their mouths to thermoregulate, to offload heat because they can't sweat. Beyond that, unless you have a pug or bulldog who has been bred to have a face that's so flat, just like human faces, that they can't breathe, and they so happen to have chronic sinusitis and all the problems that we suffer from. Animals in the wild are all obligate nasal breathers. This is the pathway through which we should breathe air. And this is just a message that I had never heard until I started researching this book. I was a mouth breather as a kid. I breathed through my mouth every single night as I slept. I thought this was completely normal, and it's not. And you realize once you look to the science and how the human body is put together, that breathing through the mouth not only can affect the development of how you look, it can affect how you are able to take in that air, how efficiently, and exhale it. And if you're choking every night for a third of your life, of course that's going to have a downstream effect on your body, even how tall you'll grow, like amazing stuff. And this was all news to me. I thought it was outrageous, except for the fact that it was being studied at the top universities and research institutions in the world, and the science was out there, just nobody was reading it.
No, I don't remember anyone ever telling me that I should breathe through my nose. And it wasn't until I asked my parents if I actually had sleep apnea as a child that they told me, after I read your book, which is wild. But I heard in another interview that you did that you were talking about this email apnea phenomenon. What's that?
So I talked to Dr. Margaret Chesney. She's at University of California, San Francisco, and she had spent the last couple decades looking at breathing patterns at work and how severely people can be affected by how they breathe when they're in the workplace. And she found that the majority of office workers suffer from something called continuous partial attention syndrome, which is an academic name for email apnea. What that means is, imagine you're sitting at work, you see a bunch of emails coming in, you get stressed out. Our response to that stress is to stop breathing. That's what we do when we're scared, we stop breathing. So people tend to do this throughout the day. And if you do this enough, and if you do it in a very severe way and hold your breath, and then breathe too much and hold your breath, it can have a lot of the downstream effects on your body and brain as sleep apnea has. So in that it can affect your metabolism, it can affect your neurology, it can affect so many other functions in your body. And if you put someone with sleep apnea, and if that person is suffering from email apnea as well, they're going to be a complete wreck. And if you look at populations, especially in the US, people are so sick, so chronically sick from so many different ailments our ancestors never had. So something's wrong here, and some of those issues are caused by improper breathing. Not all of them, but some of them certainly are.